Now we will discuss fermented foods. The fermented foods offer a lot of variety in our daily food routine, and there are a lot of variety of products that are produced commercially from this fermentation process. So if we talk about the process, it is very generically simple. We have to look at the raw material that needs to be fermented, whether it's a fruit or a vegetable, or whether it's a meat or any other food, and then we expose that food to suitable conditions in which certain desirable strains of microorganisms can grow and produce the end product, which is delicious, nutritious, and it has got some other nutritional factors as well. So these microorganisms, as they grow on the food in those desirable conditions, they produce certain end products, and those end products are generally the metabolites from these microorganisms, and they would add up to the quality of food or the overall acceptability of food or the kind of end product that we get. So that would depend upon the type of microorganism that is involved in this fermentation process. So if we talk about the microorganisms that are used, there could be a variety of strains or species of microorganisms. They could be used singly or in combination. There could be more than one microorganisms used for this fermentation process, and this would be also very much dependent upon the type of product and the type of fermentation method that we are using to produce a desirable end product. If we look at the growth of microorganisms, because we need to understand the microorganisms and the environment within the food that facilitate the growth of desirable microorganisms within the food. So we have to look at what are the factors that affect the growth of these microorganisms. So these are generally the pH of food, nutrient of that are present within the food, the nutrient that are utilized by microorganisms for their general growth, the temperature at which we incubate the food for fermentation process, and the oxidation reduction potential of the environment of the food as well as of the microorganisms. So these are the different factors that have to be controlled in order to promote the growth of these microorganisms within our desirable fermented products. The fermentation process can be different depending upon the approach that we use for the fermentation of any food. It could be natural fermentation. Most of the food, when they are left in the normal conditions, they might undergo the fermentation process. So this process is called as natural fermentation. Historically, humankind have been used to this kind of end product which are fermented, whether through milk or meat or vegetables. So this is quite an old tradition that people have been using this fermentation process in the natural setting. Another method is backsloping. Backsloping method is the one basically where we take the fermented material from the previous batch and add it to a new batch, and that would be actually adding up starter culture into our product. So, and the third and the last one, which is the most sophisticated technology used in most of the industrial operation, this is the controlled fermentation. Under controlled fermentation, we try to control all the variable factors, the strain and the species and the environment in which we can achieve the desirable outcome of the fermented products. If we talk about the fermented dairy products, the fermented dairy products can be broken down into two types. That one is the fermented milk product, and the second is cheese. So difference between the fermented milk product is in case of fermented milk product, nothing is taken out of the milk except whatever is consumed by the microorganisms in order to grow within milk. So we don't take anything out of the milk in the final product. But in case of cheese, most of the nutrients and other factors can be drained out from the milk as whey protein, or as a whey they can be drained, and leftover is treated for further processing to make cheese. Similarly, meat can be also used for fermentation of to make many products, fermented products, and then in the process we normally add meat, fat, salt and sugar. We can add different spices and some of the curing agents that are all together mixed up. They can be then we can add starter culture within the meat, and that would end up into a desirable fermented meat product. If you talk about the vegetables that are fermented, as I said, historically people have been used to make fermented product from vegetables, and they have been using it in their daily cuisine. It is still very popular nowadays globally as well. Most of the vegetables, they do contain lactic acid bacteria in them, and that lactic acid bacteria starts fermenting most of these vegetables when they are given the suitable condition, and the end product are the pickled vegetables. If you look at some of the fermented vegetable products, for we can use literally any vegetable for fermentation, but it depends upon the culture in which people use certain products. They might choose certain products to be pickled, and they might include like peppers or cauliflower or cabbage or onions or citrus, beans, etc. So there's a long list of vegetables and their product that can be used for fermentation. So these are the different types of fermented food that we normally see in the process industry and in our daily consumption.